Now we're going to talk a little bit about the facilities that we operate. We have 6 port of entries in the state of Washington. This is the one down at Plymouth on I-82. We have another one in Spokane. Then there's Plymouth. We have Bow Hill port of entry up north on I-5. We have the port of entry down in Vancouver coming up out of Oregon. And then we have 2 facilities. They're 24-hour facilities, well actually 3 now, that are going to be operated at that technically are not port of entries, but we are going to be manning 24 hours a day. That's a new scale up in Prosser. We have one up in Cle Elum over on I-90, and then there's a northbound scale on I-5 up by Mount Vernon. We also have fixed scales out here, which are the types that we man when we have the ability to man them. It's just like your scale here in Walla Walla. Much smaller scale pads, but we try and operate them as time allots, or if we try to do emphasis patrols, we'll show up and open one of those types of scales. And then we have what we call plug and run scales. Just due to our day and time, we have people that if we come and we operate one of these scales for a couple days, they get real constructive and they glue our doors shut, and they will, put feces in bags and urinate on the side of the building. So what we've done is we've eliminated the building in a lot of cases due to the cost of maintaining them. This is just like that facility right there, but we've replaced the building with basically a bunker. The controls for the weighing operation are in our vans, and we just come plug into this facility and we work out of the vehicles that we drive. And then our backbone to the other than interstate highway system is our portable scales. These allow us to travel anywhere around the state. If the county calls up, city calls up, says, hey, I got some people we think we're running illegal weights, we'll show up with a couple trucks and we will weigh them on portable scales. These are certified aircraft scales. They're very accurate. They're as accurate as our fixed facilities, and they are tested on a regular basis for accuracy. When you approach the scales, you're going to be notified in advance that the scale is either open or closed. It's going to warn you that there is a scale ahead in that. I can't say exactly how far. It depends on the facility. It's going to give you instructions. Do we want you to pull in? Do we want you to drive by? How fast do we want you to go? Do we want you to stop on the scale or roll across slow? If any of you have been over on the interstate, you know now we have what we call C-Vision, which is basically a weighing operation that if your company gets involved in it, your truck is going down the road highway speed, it is weighed, the vehicle is identified. If you're not overweight and your licensing and everything is up, you won't even pull into the scale. It'll just give you the free pass to go by the scale, and you don't even lose any time. And that if there is something wrong or you're not identified in the system, those are the trucks that we're going to be taking a look at. So here, partnering with industry again, we have gotten to the point where if we don't need to stop you, we're not going to. And then when you get in there, there's going to be signs that'll let you know what to do as you cross the scale. Do we want you to just proceed? Do we want you to park and bring in papers? Whatever. So we're going to go over some of the signs you're going to look at. And I don't have some of the brand new stuff, but it's going to say the same thing. Here it's telling you there's a weigh station ahead 1 mile. When you blow by our scale after you've seen all of these signs, you're going to get followed, and you're probably going to be getting written a ticket for failure to stop at the scale, which you don't want to have to pay that. So you'll see first one's going to let you know how far the scale is ahead. Then it's going to tell you who needs to stop. Any vehicle over 16,000 GVWR. Gross vehicular weight rating, not what you weigh, not what you're licensed for, it's what your vehicle is rated at. You need to know what your vehicle is rated at, and that's on the ID plate on the door jamb of your vehicle, and it'll tell you your gross vehicular weight rating, because we don't care if you're empty or loaded. If you have a rating of over 16,000, you need to be pulling into the scale. And then it's going to let you know whether or not the scale is open or closed in some format. And then the newer scales will actually have, after it tells you it's open or closed, then it'll tell you whether to either bypass the scale or come into the scale, depending on what they have set up, or if they figure that you're illegal or something. Once you get into the scale, you will find some form of signing that's going to tell you what to do. Red means stop. You would be amazed how many people see a red light at a scale house and they pull through and go and park. Now, if you do that in the city, when the light turns red, somebody's going to get you a ticket. So please, if you see a red light at the scale, it means the same thing it means anywhere else. Stop. And we'll come out and give you directions on what we want you to do. If it's a steady green light, proceed across the scale slowly until you're told to do something else. You don't have to stop. Just go across slowly at an idle. If it's flashing ahead, same thing. Proceed slowly. And that, don't speed up or anything else, just proceed slowly. But if you get the red light and then the sign comes on that says back up, please go ahead and back up till you're told to stop, because when you're crossing the scale, we cannot take rolling weights. We have to stop and weigh each axle in a fixed position in order to find out whether or not you're overloaded or not. So we'll back you up and then bring you across and stop you on each set of axles. And then for some reason we decide we want to either look at your paperwork or we're going to do an inspection on your truck. We'll flip the park and bring in paper sign, and that's asking you to bring in all of that paperwork we talked about. Driver's license, medical card, logbooks, shipping papers, truck and trailer registrations, any permits, any of that stuff, bring it all in, and then we will proceed, and will be expeditious to you and us. This is a very simple sign that we have at a lot of the scales. The red light, green light ahead, back and park and bring in papers. You're only going to see obviously one of those on at a time, and just pay attention and follow the instructions that the signage gives you. What we're doing in the process of you crossing the scale is we're going to be weighing your vehicle. We're going to be checking for any obvious defects, bad tires, flat tires, broken wheels. If we see you bouncing off the steering wheel because you're falling asleep, whatever. We'll give you directions to either proceed or stop. We'll make the decision at that time whether we want to inspect your vehicle, driver's information, shipping papers, or whatever. And we'll let you know what we want you to do. Most of our facilities, the officers will come out and talk to you if we're going to park you, to let you know what we want you to do. So you're approaching the scale in this vehicle. I'm taking a look at it. If you've got your lights on, I'm going to take a look and see if your lights are all working. Or if they're not, if I can see any visible damage to your vehicle that might indicate that I need to take a look at your truck. And as you come up to the scale, we're going to be looking at the wheels, the rims, any of this type of thing. And then as you get to the scale, we're going to weigh your unit. When you're crossing here, we're going to look at your coupling devices. Is that vehicle in safe condition as it's coming across? Again, tires, wheels, this type of thing. And then as you pull out of the scale, if everything's okay, and that you may get a stoplight just after you pass the scale. What we're doing is we're looking at the stoplights on your truck. Are they working or not? And then if you get the green light or whatever, then you can proceed on out, or we'll pull you over and park you here and either decide to inspect or let you know that there's something wrong with your vehicle. Okay, as you're crossing the scale, this is what's going to come up on our reader board. And that it'll come up and it'll show 12,920 pounds for this vehicle here. He's legal for 13,000 pounds up front. So he proceeds on through. When the drive axles come over, he's legal for 34. Our scale only shows 31.4. You just keep right on going. And we can read this stuff fairly accurately, fairly quickly. If this thing bounced up to 15,000 pounds, you're going to get a stoplight. We're going to back you up, bring you back on the scale and stop you, have you release your brakes so we can get a good, accurate weight. Because sometimes, due to your product or other situations, the scales will flex a little bit. That's why we must take stop weights. We're going to have a look at your legal size, weight, and load. If you're coming through here with something that is abnormal, we're going to want to take a look and make sure you're permitted to transport the goods that you are transporting. And that. So if you have an oversized load, we want to see a permit. If you're an operation like this, you're probably going to get stopped because we want to know that you're licensed to haul the amount of weight that you've got on that whole combination, just not on the truck. And that. And then obviously load securement. If we see something wrong, we're going to pull you in and we're going to deal with that issue there. Either have you put more securement on or come up with something else to remedy